Welcome to the C.S. Joseph podcast. I'm your host, C.S. Joseph, and we're doing yet another Acolyte question today for the show. And so let's just get right down to it. Which type appreciates the direct verbalized sentence of "I want you the most" while rejecting all forms of games played to display "I want you" without actually saying it out loud? Which is an extremely confusing way to ask a question. I hope next time they make their questions a bit more simple to understand, because I'm going to have to go out of my way in attempts to interpret what this person means, and I honestly really just don't know. So in terms of like what they're asking, I have no idea what they're asking. So I'm going to guess at what they're asking and then answer that guess. So hopefully that helps. So which type appreciates direct verbalized sentence of "I want you the most" without actually saying it out loud? Are you talking about which type would notice it or which type would appreciate it? I would have to say it would definitely have to be NFPs. NFPs are very important, or very informative. And the thing is that it's not enough to say to an INFP that you want them, per se, because they won't believe it. TE inferior will combine with extrovert intuition apparent, and then they'll just kind of just naturally doubt that you do actually want them until you make it so painfully obvious that they'll go for it. But because they're triple informative, at first they'll appreciate that it's kind of more of a guessing game at first, because then they're not going to be made comfortable. Or they won't be made uncomfortable, basically, from that, because if you advance too quickly, they'll be like super uncomfortable. But after a while, they'll start to expect it from you. They'll expect you to just spell it out. So that's just kind of like one way to do it. However, with the NFP, you can just straight up tell them, yeah, they kind of enjoy the guessing game a little bit, and obviously, you'll make them comfortable without like actually saying it out loud. But like, honestly, just be honest. Honestly, be honest. Yeah, be honest. Like, just be honest about how you feel. I want you the most, while rejecting all forms of games played. If you're playing games to display "I want you" without actually saying it out loud. I don't know how to say this. Are you literally, I don't even know what this question is. Are you literally saying which types appreciate you just directly telling them that you want them instead of, and I think you're saying playing games without actually saying it out loud. So you're saying that you're playing games if you're not being direct with them and saying it out loud, basically. And if you're not doing that, kind of coming off like an INFJ would, actually, with this question. It's almost... but anyway, so now... So ultimately the answer is NPs, but let's like put them in different categories. So like NFPs would kind of rather have the guessing games to go with them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But the NTPs will not. The NTPs would just rather you get up in their face and just straight up tell them, "I want you." And I know that is my type, the ENTP, that would appreciate that most. I got TI parent. Like it's great. In fact, I would need that. Like, for example, like the women in my life that have been the most successful with me, especially like getting me into bed with them, are the ones who are just straight up direct. Like there's this one ENTJ coworker I had this one time, and then she just came up to me randomly and said, "Hey, I want to take you to this restaurant tonight. I'm going to buy you steak tips, and you are going to tell me about psychology." And that's how she asked me out. She just kind of ordered me around a little bit. And I looked at her and I'm like, "Sure, let's do that. Okay." And I showed up. She ordered me steak tips. I started talking psychology. And then midway through the dinner, she's like, "Okay, I'm going to take you to my home now, and we're going to have sex." And that's just straight up direct, straight up like that was it, I'm like, okay, and we did. And it was fantastic. And a lot of good memories in those days. And she was an ENTJ, and she's just being like straight up front about it. But yeah, like you're gonna like out of the four NPs, when it comes to like really expressing I want you the most, or I want you, that statement. when you are, obviously I'm talking about NPs because those are the NPs that would respond the best. Those are the people of the 16 types that would respond the best to, like, you know, the phrase "I want you." But again, the NFPs, they're pretty informative. They kind of like it to be a little guessing game at the beginning so that they're comfortable, because their FI could be offended, and they also like have doubts. But then eventually, over time, you have to ramp it up and then just make it more painfully obvious to them through action, not just words, that you actually want them. Whereas with an NTP, you can just go right up to them and be like, "Hey, I want you." Done. Okay, like, easy, over. Like, there's no, like, you're not making it a game. You're not. It's just no question. You're straight up direct about it. You just straight up tell them, "Yeah, I want you." That's it. Congratulations. You know, like, that's it. You know, that's all you gotta say. And a lot of people don't even realize that. But yeah, it's really that easy. Asking out NTPs is the easiest of all of the 16 types to ask out. But we get so intimidating sometimes. I know, we have SE Demon, and we can also be really creepy. I know. You know, SE Trickster can also be an issue, too, to get over. Like, NTPs, it's hard. It's really hard. And granted, the INTP has NE parents, so they're not really going to accept it as readily as an NE hero, because NE hero is optimistic. And me being optimistic, if a woman comes up to me and just like, "Hey, I want you," period, and a story. Okay, you know, like, that's it, you know. So any hero is just kind of like that, you know. But combined with TI parent, you know, because TI parent, like, I go out of my way to be super honest with people, and ENTPs go out of our way to, like, be super honest with people, you know. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be super honest, and if you're being willing to be just as honest with us as we are with other people, so we're gonna find that really valuable with our FE child naturally. So, and then we're gonna be like, okay, wow, at least this person's being honest, and I don't have to wear a mask around them. Great. Well, yeah, sure. And, you know, ENTPs don't really like rejecting people either, so there's actually a very good chance that the ENTP is going to respond pretty well to your assertion of, "I want you," you know. So why not? Why not go for it? So it's just, you know, these are some of the differences that NPs have amongst each other when it comes to, like, approaching them. You'll have the easiest time approaching an ENTP, even though they look the scariest, right? And it's still decently easy to approach an ENFP, but because they're very interest-based, and you know, there's a few additional mental barriers to get through. INTPs, they're more like, "Okay, cool, it's nice that you want me. I kind of doubt it, though. I need a little bit more," you know. And then, like, INFPs, it's like, "Yeah, it's cool you want me. I kind of doubt it, but I need a lot more," basically. So it would be the hardest to approach an INFP with this approach, and I think it would be second. So in order of easiest to hardest, ENTP would be the easiest, especially with them being triple systematic. Second easiest is INTP, but you have to do a little bit more effort. Third, I'd say ENFP, and then fourth, INFP. Because again, they're still interest-based, but, you know, when you combine the NE with the systematic on the Crusader side with the NTPs, it's a bit easier with them. But again, you have to deal with any parent on the INTP, and it's like, because the INTP is going to be like, "Well, why didn't you tell me this before?" You see what I'm saying? Like, they're going to want a little bit more, but they're still a lot easier to convince, or at least to show "I want you," when compared to, like, an ENFP, because they're very interest-based. And while their NE is still very optimistic, you still have to get past their FE critic, which can be a little bit difficult. And there may be a little bit of doubt there in their ISTJ subconscious, but as long as you're forward with them and you just don't give up, they'll eventually relent, and they'll realize, okay, yeah, it's true, this person really does want me. So it ends up becoming, you know, a benefit or a beneficial experience down the road. So definitely a thing. So anyway, I really hope that I answered or interpreted this question properly. You know, there's yeah, I mean, it's pretty important to do that. Like, try to ask your questions, guys, in a way where you know for sure that I understand, because this question was kind of in a jumbled mess, and it lacked proper. It had some punctuation in it, but it was like a run-on sentence. So let's just try to, like, have a communication standard here so I actually know what I'm talking about. So yeah. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching and listening. Hopefully I answered the question and you guys got something out of this. I'll see you guys tonight.
You stole my heart of gold. silver soul. Can